Something strange happens on a quiet morning at Heartland. A moment so small that no one notices it at first, yet it changes everything. A single message arrives. No name, no number. Only one short line. Ty is alive. Amy freezes. Her heart races. The world around her suddenly feels unfamiliar. For years she has learned to live with the pain, to carry the memories, to be strong for Lyndy. But this one message shakes the ground beneath her feet. Because deep inside her, a tiny spark she buried long ago flickers back to life hope. For weeks, the Heartland ranch has felt quieter than usual. The trees still move with the wind, the horses still run, the sun still rises across the fields. But something inside Amy feels heavy. She rides almost every morning trying to clear her mind, yet the emptiness never fully leaves her. There are moments when she catches herself staring at the mountains, remembering the sound of Ty's laugh, the warmth of his hand, the way he could calm her without saying a word. She tells herself she has accepted the past, but the truth is she has simply learned how to carry the ache. Lyndy has grown curious about her father. She asks more questions, now soft, gentle questions that hit Amy harder than she expects. Sometimes it is late at night when Lyndy is almost asleep and she whispers, "Mom, what was Daddy like when he held me?" Other times, she finds one of Ty's old jackets and hugs it like a memory she never had. These moments break Amy in ways no one can see. She answers with a smile, keeping her voice steady, but inside she is fighting the storm. She wants to give Lyndy every piece of Ty she remembers, yet she fears that if she talks about him too much, the grief will spill out again. Jack notices the change in Amy long before she admits anything is wrong. He watches her from the porch, the way she keeps her head down when she walks, the way she avoids conversations she once enjoyed. Jack loves Amy like his own, and he knows the look of someone carrying pain that doesn't fade. He tries to offer small bits of comfort, extra help around the barn, a warm cup of coffee left on the table, but Amy brushes it off, insisting she's fine. Jack doesn't push her. He simply stays close, ready to step in whenever she needs him. Tim, on the other hand, can't hide his worrying. He sees Amy forcing herself to be tough, pushing herself too hard, refusing to rest. Tim has lost people too, and he recognizes the signs of someone struggling to keep their emotions in check. He talks to Jack in quiet moments, asking if he should step in or stay distant. Jack shakes his head and reminds him. Amy opens up when she's ready. Not before. Tim nods, though frustration grows in him. He hates seeing her suffer silently, especially when she has always been the one holding everyone else together. Life at the ranch continues, but the weight inside Amy grows heavier each day. Then, on a completely ordinary morning, something unexpected happens. After her chores, Amy returns to the house, wipes her hands, and checks her phone. At first, nothing seems unusual. A few missed calls, some reminders, and one new message. She opens it without thinking, expecting it to be from Lisa or Caleb, but instead, she reads something impossible, something that steals her breath away. Ty is alive. For a long moment, Amy can't move. Her hands go cold. Her heart pounds so loudly she hears nothing else. The message is short, too short. No explanation, no name, no clue who sent it. It feels unreal, like a cruel trick or a mistake. Yet the moment she reads it, she feels something she hasn't allowed herself to feel in years. A pull, a spark, a question she never thought she would ask again. What if Ty never truly left? What if there is something she never knew? What if he is out there? Amy tries to steady her breathing, but her mind races in every direction. She wants to delete the message and walk away. She wants to scream. She wants to run. But above everything else, she wants the truth. And that single desire, fragile, dangerous, impossible, begins to take root in her heart. Because even though she tries to stay strong, Amy knows one thing with absolute certainty. This message is going to change everything. Amy stares at the message again and again, hoping the words will change, hoping she will find some hint that explains how this could be possible. But the screen stays the same, simple, empty, terrifying. She tries to convince herself it's a mistake, someone wrote the wrong number, someone is being cruel, or maybe it's just a glitch. Yet her heart refuses to believe any of those excuses. There is something different about this message, something she can't explain. It feels personal, almost familiar, as if someone who truly knows Ty sent it. All morning she tries to continue her routine. She feeds the horses, checks the fences, and helps Lyndy with her morning chores. But every step she takes feels heavy, like her body is moving through water. She catches herself drifting off, staring into space, replaying the text in her head. Lyndy notices immediately. She tugs at Amy's sleeve and asks, "Mom, are you okay?" Amy forces a smile and nods, but her voice isn't steady. She wants to protect Lyndy from this confusion, from this sudden wave of hope that might break them both if it turns out to be nothing. Later, Amy sits alone at the kitchen table. She places her phone in front of her like it's some kind of puzzle she needs to solve. She tries calling the number, but it doesn't ring. It doesn't even exist. The screen jumps straight to an error message. That only deepens her confusion. Someone wanted to reach her, but not be found. And that raises even more questions. Why now? Why after all these years? And more importantly, how would anyone know Ty was alive? Jack walks in while she's lost in thought. He sees the tension in her shoulders and the way she keeps glancing at her phone. He doesn't ask what's wrong, not at first. Instead, he pours himself a cup of coffee and sits across from her. They sit in silence for a while, the kind of silence that feels safe, the kind that only family can share. Finally, he speaks softly. "You look like you've seen a ghost." His words hit closer to the truth than he realizes. Amy feels her throat tighten. She wants to tell him everything, but another part of her wants to keep it hidden until she understands it herself. After a long pause, she finally whispers, "I got a message." About Ty. Jack's cup stops halfway to his mouth. His eyes sharpen with concern, but also caution. He doesn't react quickly. He knows how fragile Amy's heart is when it comes to Ty. What kind of message? He asks quietly. Amy takes a breath that feels too heavy and says, "Someone said he's alive." The room goes still. No one speaks. Even the ticking clock on the wall seems suddenly too loud. Jack sets his cup down slowly. He studies Amy's face, searching for any sign that she's joking, misunderstanding, or imagining things. But she looks serious, hurt, confused, hopeful. Jack leans back and runs a hand over his beard. "Amy, people do cruel things sometimes. Don't let this reopen old wounds." His voice is gentle, but his words cut deep. Amy nods, but inside she feels a storm building. That evening, after dinner, Amy puts Lyndy to bed. But Lyndy isn't sleepy. She looks up with those bright eyes and asks softly, "Mom, did something make you sad today?" Amy pauses. She sits at the edge of the bed and brushes Lyndy's hair behind her ear. "No, sweetheart. Not sad, just thinking." Lyndy hugs her tightly, as if sensing something bigger. That simple hug breaks something inside Amy. She realizes she can't ignore the message. Not for herself. Not for Lyndy. If there is even the smallest chance that Ty is alive, she has to know the truth. When the house finally grows quiet, Amy steps outside. The night sky stretches endlessly above her, filled with stars Ty used to point out to her. She feels the cool air on her skin and closes her eyes. She remembers Ty's smile, the way he would pull her close when she was scared, the way he always believed there was a way forward no matter how dark things got. And in that moment, she feels it again, that spark of hope she tried so hard to bury. She whispers into the night, almost afraid to hear her own voice, "Ty, if you're out there, I will find you." Little does she know. Someone is already watching her next move. The next morning begins with a strange stillness. The air feels heavier, as if the ranch itself knows something is changing. Amy wakes before the sun rises, unable to sleep after the message kept echoing in her mind all night. She moves through the house quietly, trying not to wake Lyndy, but her thoughts are loud. She keeps seeing Ty's face clearer than it's been in years, and the memory feels so real it almost hurts. She steps outside and stands on the porch, watching the sky shift from gray to soft orange. This was always Ty's favorite time of day. He loved the calm, the quiet, the promise of something new. Amy closes her eyes, and for a moment, it feels like he's standing beside her again. Then she forces herself to breathe deeply and open her eyes. She can't afford to lose herself in memories, not when something real might be waiting to be discovered. As she heads to the barn, she finds Jack fixing a loose board on the stall door. He looks up the moment he hears her footsteps. There's a heaviness in his expression, the kind that comes with years of carrying other people's pain. Without saying a word, he knows Amy hasn't slept. She doesn't try to hide it. She walks closer and leans against the stall door, letting out a long sigh. Jack wipes his hands on a cloth and finally breaks the silence. "I thought a night's rest would clear your head." Amy looks at the ground. "It didn't," Jack nods, almost expecting that answer. "So, what are you thinking of doing?" Amy hesitates. She isn't even sure herself. She wants answers, but she doesn't know where to start. "I don't know," she admits. "But I can't pretend it didn't happen." Jack studies her for a long moment, then speaks gently. "Hope is a powerful thing, Amy. It can lift you up, but it can also break you." She swallows hard. His words aren't meant to scare her, they're meant to steady her. But they hit her deeply. She thinks of Lyndy. She thinks of how her daughter would react if she believed her father was alive, only for it to be a lie. The thought terrifies her. Later in the day, Amy decides to search quietly for anything that could explain the message. She sits down with her laptop at the dining table, the same spot where she once found Ty doing paperwork late into the night. She types his name into old folders, old emails, old medical files, anything she can think of. She isn't expecting anything new, but she feels compelled to look. Hours pass. She finds nothing unusual until she stumbles upon something she doesn't remember seeing before. A hospital record from years ago, one that mentions a patient with injuries similar to Ty's, admitted far from Hudson. The document doesn't list a name, only a medical number. The location is a remote facility near a rugged northern area. The kind of place Ty used to love exploring during wildlife missions. Amy's heartbeat quickens. Could this be connected? Could someone have taken Ty there? Or maybe he ended up there on his own? She doesn't know, but the thought hits her with unexpected force. This isn't just a random message. Someone knew where to look. Someone wanted her to see this. She prints the record and stares at the paper, her hands shaking. For the first time since the message arrived, she feels something stronger than fear, determination. She realizes she can't keep this to herself anymore. She needs help. She needs guidance. And there's only one person who knows the northern wilderness as well as Ty did. Tim. Amy finds him outside, checking the truck. He looks surprised when she approaches him with urgency in her steps. "Tim, I need to talk to you." She hands him the printed document. He studies it carefully, his expression tightening. "Where did you get this?" he asks, his voice low. "It was saved on my computer." "I don't remember putting it there." Tim shakes his head, confused but alert. "Amy, this place, it's not easy to reach. And if Ty was ever taken there," he stops. He doesn't want to say the rest. He doesn't want to raise her hopes or feed her fears. But Amy steps closer. "I need to know. I can't live with what if anymore." Tim sees the fire in her eyes, the same fire she had when she fought to save horses, when she fought for her family, when she fought for Ty. He takes a deep breath and nods. "Then we'll go. We'll look for answers. But we have to be smart. And we have to prepare for anything." Amy feels a strange mix of relief and fear. For the first time, she has a direction, a lead, and a chance. But she also knows that whatever she finds, truth or heartbreak, her life will never be the same again. And somewhere far away, someone watches her with quiet anticipation, knowing she is finally stepping onto the path she was meant to follow. The next few days move differently, as if time itself has changed its rhythm. Amy wakes with a sense of urgency she hasn't felt in years. Every small detail, every sound from the barn, every shift of the wind, every look from Jack or Tim feels sharper. She carries the printed hospital record everywhere she goes, folded carefully in her pocket like a fragile piece of truth. It's the only thing that tells her she isn't imagining everything. It's the only proof that something about Ty's story never added up. But beyond the confusion sits an even heavier weight. She knows she cannot take this journey alone. She needs help, but she also needs to protect Lyndy. She has to find the answers without pulling her daughter into the fear and uncertainty that now fills her heart. For the first time, Amy realizes she is walking a line between hope and danger, a line she must navigate carefully. Jack watches her with growing concern. He sees the tension in her shoulders, the way she glances toward the road as if expecting someone to appear. He tries to keep the ranch running smoothly, but he knows Amy is carrying something far heavier than chores. One evening, while he stacks hay in the barn, Amy walks in quietly. She doesn't speak right away, and Jack waits patiently. When she finally hands him the hospital document, his eyes soften with worrying. He reads it slowly, his brow furrowing. When he finishes, he looks at her with a sadness she hasn't seen in years. "Amy, this could be anything," he says gently. A mistake, a mix-up, but Amy shakes her head. "Jack, that message came for a reason. And now this file shows up. Someone wants me to find something." Jack places a hand on her shoulder. "Or someone wants to hurt you." His words sting, not because he's wrong, but because she's already thought the same thing. Still, Amy feels something stronger than fear pulling her forward. She has spent too many years letting grief silence the possibility of hope. She can't turn back now. Later that night, Amy sits on the sofa with a warm blanket wrapped around Lyndy. They watch old home videos, something Lyndy has been asking for lately. In one clip, Ty lifts baby Lyndy into the air while Amy laughs behind the camera. The sight of him, his smile, his voice, his warmth hits Amy like a wave she isn't ready for. Lyndy giggles beside her, pointing at the screen. "Look, Daddy was so funny." Amy swallows the lump in her throat. "Yes, he was." Lyndy leans her head on her mother's shoulder. "Do you think Daddy misses us?" The question cuts straight through Amy's heart. She hesitates, then answers softly, "If he could, sweetheart. He would come home." That night, after Lyndy sleeps, Amy sits alone at the kitchen table. She spreads out the printout, the message on her phone, and the notes she's made while trying to piece everything together. One thing keeps bothering her. The anonymous message came from nowhere, no trace, no number, but the hospital file is real. Someone close enough to access it must have placed it on her computer. Someone who knows Ty, someone who knows her. She feels the walls closing in around her thoughts until she stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. She knows she needs answers, and the only place to find them is the northern facility mentioned in the record. But she can't do it alone. She needs Tim's knowledge of the area, and she needs someone she can trust completely. The next morning, Tim meets her by the truck. His expression is set, determined. "If we're doing this, we're doing it right," he says. He outlines maps and paths, explains the terrain, and warns her about how rough the journey could be. Amy listens carefully, absorbing every word. She knows the road ahead might bring pain. It might bring truth she isn't ready for. But it might also bring Ty home. Just as they're preparing to leave, Jack walks toward them. He looks torn, caught between wanting to protect Amy and knowing she won't be stopped. "I'm not letting you go up there alone," he tells her. Family sticks together. Amy feels tears sting her eyes, but she nods. She needs their strength. She needs their courage. And she knows they deserve to know the truth just as much as she does. Before they leave, Amy takes a deep breath and looks back at the ranch, the place where she and Ty built their life, where they dreamed, where they loved. She whispers something only the wind can hear. "I'm coming. Ty, I'm coming to find you." What Amy doesn't know is that miles away, in a remote and quiet place surrounded by wilderness, a man with tired eyes and scars he doesn't remember stares at the horizon. Feeling something stir inside him, a memory, a voice, a name. And for the first time in years, Ty Borden opens his eyes with a sense of familiar longing. Something, or someone, is calling him home.